Hey guys, I'm Kalila Reynolds and it's time for another episode of Money Mondays, brought to you in partnership with Proven Wealth and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And for this episode, we also have Jamaica Money Market Brokers JMMB on board. And that's because JMMB has an additional public offer, an APO. Remember, I gave you a heads up about this a few weeks ago. Well, the details are now out, the prospectus is out, and the offer opens in Jamaica tomorrow, October 22, 2019, and in Trinidad and Tobago on Friday, October 25, 2019. Shout out to my new Trini viewers. Okay, the offer is scheduled to close in both countries on Thursday, November 7. The share price, $38.75 Jamaican for new shareholders. For Trinis, that's $1.94 TT. In US, that's about 30 cents US, less than 30 cents US actually. And there's a slight discount for existing shareholders, 38 Jamaican dollars, $1.90 TT. That's still less than 30 cents US. The minimum purchase is 300 shares, so you could be a part of this offer for less than 12,000 Jamaican dollars or less than 600 TT dollars, about 86 US dollars. If this offer is fully subscribed, JMMB will be raising over 10 billion Jamaican dollars. That's 500 million TT or 74 million US dollars. So this is a pretty big offer, guys. One of the largest to come to market in recent times. With me are Damion Brown, he's Chief Investment Officer, and Karl Townsend is Chief Country Officer of the Capital Markets Unit, Jamaica. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
We're doing very well.
All right, so let's start with the structure of the offer. One of the things that jumped out to me about how the offer is being made is you're using a bottom-up approach, which is not very often used in the Jamaican context, kind of taking a page out of what they did with Wigton. So why that approach, Damion?
Part of it is to ensure that we get the fullest participation from the wider public, and especially those who are part of the Jmmb'S family. If you're aware of how Jmmb'S started, the mission was to bring the money market to the wider public and to ensure that there was some kind of equity in terms of access to affordable investing, and that continues to be our underlying philosophy.
I did note where it said in the prospectus it will stay open for at least 7 days.
And that is because we have a staggered opening process where we're opening in Jamaica prior to opening in Trinidad and Tobago. So the commitment that we've made for Trinidad and Tobago shareholders is that the offer will remain open in Trinidad and Tobago for at least 7 days.
But not necessarily in Jamaica for at least 7 days.
Well, we can't close in Jamaica prior to closing in
opening.
Trinidad. So
I got you. So how did you come up with the share price? $38.75 for new shareholders, a little bit less than what it's trading for now.
the share price that we're offering to the public is derived based on the long-term average share price of Jmmb'S Group Limited shares. We have looked over the last 12 months, over the last 3 months, we have looked at where the share price was prior to our making the announcement about the Sagicor acquisition. So we wanted to make sure that we came up with a price that would be affordable to the general market, but also a price that did not undervalue Jmmb'S Group Limited shares.
But the price has taken a hit. In the past maybe 3 months, you had hit almost $55 at one point. On Friday when I looked, it was at $40. So I think the question that some people have, especially new investors, people who are just looking to get into this thing for the first time, they're like, ooh, should I buy this one? The prices are trending down. I'm not sure if I'm going to lose money on this investment. Or what do you have to say to them?
What I would say is that having announced at our annual general meeting our intention to increase the number of shares, I think there was an anticipation in the market that there would be this share offer, and therefore the prices have reflected that. It is typical that if entities come into market that they normally offer shares at a discount to the current market price to ensure that there's sufficient take-up and also as an incentive for investors to participate. We think that the current price is very attractive and that investors will definitely benefit from the continued growth and profitability of Jmmb'S.
Well, speaking of the growth and profitability of Jmmb'S, I was looking through the financials and the prospectus, and you have some nice numbers there, Karl. So tell me about those increases over the past 4 or 5 years.
We are diversifying, so we diversify across geography. So in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago in the Dominican Republic. And we're also diversifying across our product suite, right? So you'd have seen that we've made a big push into commercial banking, both in Jamaica, in Trinidad, also in the Dominican Republic. And with the acquisition of Sagicor, what that's going to give us is geographic diversification along 22 markets within the Caribbean and North America, as well as product diversification, because now our 22.2% stake gives us an entry into the into the life insurance and annuities markets as well. So, when you put all of that together, we believe we have a fantastic growth story.
Now, speaking about that Sagicor deal, new Sagicor as it's being called, how far along in the process are you now?
We have had the commercial agreement, and that it's currently going through the various regulatory approvals. Being such a large and expansive entity and operating in different jurisdictions, Sagicor has a number of regulators to consider in terms of the approval process. Once that has cleared all regulatory approvals and other considerations, then we would look to execute the transaction.
When do you expect to close that deal?
The timing is not exactly within our control, but we would anticipate generally that by the end of the year we would like to have the deal consummated.
Well, the assumption by observers is that this APO is to raise funds for that deal. Is that a correct assumption?
What we would say is that Jmmb'S is on a growth path. If you look
This sounds like a diplomatic answer.
No, we are definitely looking for growth opportunities even beyond the Sagicor transaction. As you indicated, our numbers have been good, and that reflects both organic growth in terms of our existing business lines, the fact that over the last few years we have built out other entities and business lines, primarily within Trinidad and Tobago, with Jmmb's Investments Trinidad and Tobago, and within the Dominican Republic, and we continue to see significant opportunities.
So you're saying Jmmb's has the money?
In terms of being able to execute on the Sagicor, Jmmb's adjusts its balance sheet as needed to fund any of the transactions that it's engaging with. At this point in time, the focus of this is to really drive growth going forward. We really do believe we have great growth prospects, and that this will allow us to have the financial flexibility to both continue on that trajectory and also to take advantage of other opportunities that we anticipate going forward.
Because that's a pretty big deal. It's $250 million US, 250 million US dollars. I was doing some math, so nearly 34 billion Jamaican dollars. 1.7 billion TT dollars. So clearly this APO wouldn't cover that full amount. Anyway, where's the other 70% of the funding coming from?
And we would have identified potential funding sources to be able to execute the transaction from day one. And in the context of our balance sheet, we adjust our balance sheet as necessary to fund. We do have access to external funding lines that we utilize as appropriate.
Is going to be debt?
Yes, we do raise debt as appropriate, but the part of it is just in terms of the use of both debt and internal funds, and we consider what is both the configuration that will maximize returns for our shareholders and that ensures us to stay within the risk appetite that our board sets.
So Karl, why the decision to go after such a big stake in Sagicor? How will that impact your bottom line?
We want to see tremendous growth in both revenues because we get a share of profits from Sagicor, and we also get a dividend income. So we're going to get two positive impacts from this transaction. And as our CEO said at our AGM, you're looking to grow to somewhere around 9 billion in after-tax profits within the next 2 to 3 years.
All the best with the offer, Damion, Karl.
Thank you very much.
That's it for this episode of Money Mondays JA, brought to you in partnership with Proven Wealth, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and this episode by Jmmb's as well. Guys, Proven Wealth is also an authorized selling agent for the Jmmb's APO. Now, my new show, Taking Stock with Kalila Reynolds, is set to debut on Monday, October 28th. It will be dropping on YouTube and also nationwide radio. I'm gonna be hosting a launch event and tweet up. If you wanna come, you can email me, excellence.grp@gmail.com, but only email me for an invite if you're absolutely sure you wanna come, and I'll add you to the guest list because there's limited space. So don't take up somebody's space if you're not going to come. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Until then, bye-bye.